So guys, Emily Jashinsky launched her MK Media show last night, After Party with Emily,
Yay.
which has like a fun bonus of sounding kind of naughty, but it's totally above board. Anyway, she launched it last night. It's live on YouTube at 10 p.m., 2 nights a week. And her inaugural guest was Tucker Carlson. And it's a great time to get Tucker Carlson. Of course, he's in the news every day because he's in the interesting position of being one of Trump's main supporters, and yet very, very critical of really all war, but this one, yes, including, and had tried to talk Trump out of it to the point where Trump, when I was on vacation last week, referred to him as kooky Tucker Carlson, and then made a shot of like, well, if he's going to something like, what does he have to say? He should go buy a television network so somebody would listen to him. Maybe somebody would listen to him. Something like very cutting. I was like, whoa. And then they talked, and Trump says Tucker apologized to him for going a little hard on him. And so I don't know what exactly happened. I haven't spoken to either one of them. But Tucker's been under a lot of fire from people who now say, and on top of all that, you were wrong because Trump nailed it. And so all your doom and gloom predictions were wrong. But again, like, just don't make predictions either way in the Middle East. Like, don't say his doom and gloom predictions were wrong. It's only been about 2 minutes. And don't say they were right. Like, let's just don't predict anything in the Middle East. Like, that's a golden rule. Anyway, he went on with Emily, and they had a couple of interesting discussions. Let me give you the overall in which he responded to some of the attacks he's been facing from guys like, he had an extraordinary interview with Ted Cruz, which I highly recommend you listen to. Very entertaining on a number of levels. And he's been fighting with Mark Levin of Fox News. Anyway, take a listen to Sot 11.
I don't really care what people think of me at this point. I'm 56. You were wrong. Well, I've been wrong many, many times. I'll be wrong many, many more times. But the one thing I am is sincere. I really mean it. I don't care about the effect on me. I don't want to relive Iraq. And I know the people who did it. I lived among them. I defended it. I repeated their talking points. Not doing that again. And we came really close to doing that again because of Mark Levin and Laura Loomer and the rest of these morons who've never even left New Jersey. Like, they don't know anything about the world. That's the other thing. They're dumb. They don't know. Not only they don't know the population of Iran, they don't know anything. They don't know the nations that border it. They just don't know anything. And I'm not making an argument for expertise or having been there, but I am making an argument for being responsible when you demand that the U.S. military do certain things. Because we were just in a crisis for a week, we saw who people are. We saw what they cared about. And I've got nothing against Ted Cruz personally. I feel sorry for Ted Cruz, obviously a totally hollow person taking instructions. But I do think we learned that this is not someone who should be influencing wars, because he just doesn't know anything, he doesn't care, and he's not putting America's interests anywhere near the top of his priorities.
Okay, so that's Tucker on Ted Cruz. By the way, she's on at 10 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays, so you can check her out tomorrow night. She's got Rand Paul, who's one of the detractors that the president's seeing on this front in the U.S. Senate. So what do you make of what's unfolded within the Republican Party over the past 10 days or so?
I just think it's really, it's kind of a low blow from Tucker to assume that Ted Cruz has dual loyalty with Canada. Just because a guy is born there doesn't really mean he's taking instructions in the Great White North. I'm 56 too, Tucker, and I don't care what anybody thinks either. And also, if I had done what he did in Moscow, I wouldn't be telling people, like accusing people of not having been to a place. Very, very far.
The grocery store?
Moynihan will point, the grocery store, that the subway is the cleanest in the world, makes you feel like America's dirty and bad. Russia is bigger than the nicest grocery store in Moscow. And also there's compared dollar. There's just a whole bunch of stone obvious things that he could have learned from his father.
I've got to just say quickly, I'm going to give you back. Just flying into JFK on the way home. It's Calcutta. It's disgusting.
It's
And it does make you want to say, like,
Calcutta.
why? Why are we so bad at this? Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
No, Moynihan will tell a story about Steve Bannon that I think is interesting. I think the bottom line is that Trump is correct when he says, at least as a matter of politics, that MAGA is whatever he says it is. It's not whatever Tucker Carlson says. I'm actually heartened that some people like Tucker, even though I disagree with him about many things. I enjoyed his Ted Cruz interview. You're right. People should seek it out. Like the exchanges were valuable, as was just the spirit of them from both sides. Like just going at each other. There should be more exchanges like that. I think was a useful thing. And I'm heartened that there are people who have been MAGA who are bummed out by this use of U.S. military force. At least they're hewing to some amount of principle. I think among the broader pro-Trump and also Republican electorate, I think Trump will be broadly correct as a matter of politics. But I know Moynihan's been following Steve Bannon on this, among other things, for a while.
Well, I like what you said. I think that's right too. I think it's to Tucker's credit that he didn't abandon what appears to be a sincerely held belief of his just because his friend got elected, he voted for him and wanted it, and disagrees with him on this. Like, it would be worse if he just suddenly said, okay, all that stuff I was saying, forget about it. Like, that would be odd.
Which we've seen a lot of this week as well.
We absolutely have. Yeah. I mean, look, I understand the Tulsis of the world and the JD Vances of the world, who I think probably secretly share Tucker's beliefs, going along, because they're in the administration. Like, there's no option. You can't be out there as the vice president being like, this is so wrong. God, this is like, that would be absolutely foolheaded. But anyway, go ahead, Moynihan. I want to hear your Steve.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that JD Vance probably is much closer to Tucker than he's letting on. I think that also those people in the MAGA universe as commentators and people who make a good deal of money off of it, a lot of them, no naming any names, have softened their very isolationist rhetoric when Trump did this and said, well, I guess he must be right. I think a lot of it's about audience capture. But I will agree with Matt, and I disagree with Tucker on a lot of things, almost everything these days. But I do appreciate the fact that he doesn't back down and say, well, MAGA is MAGA, and he's the one, as he said, who decides MAGA. So I'm gonna carry water for whatever he does. I think he's wrong. I love the fact that Tucker's always like, Ted Cruz is, and it doesn't matter who it is. Like, Ted Cruz is a nice guy. He's a hollow-eyed devil who's an idiot. But like, it's how he always does that, which I think
totally.
is really
And then he'll be like, he's a friend of mine. He's actually a friend of mine.
He's a friend of mine. He's like Jeffrey Epstein and probably a Nazi. But whatever. People have
We're friends.
No, he didn't say that. I said that. But like, and also like Matt, I think that. It was a good interview because the problem with Tucker's show has been, it's been so many people since he left Fox. It's just been kind of an echo chamber of, this is what I think MAGA should be. This is kind of my version of the MAGA ideology. And it's a bit of an echo chamber. So to see him in that combative role, I don't want to ever agree with Ted Cruz. I'm not a fan of his at all. But also I think that it was actually, people had that interview a bit wrong, because the clip that was played, and they put it out before, where Ted Cruz didn't know the exact he didn't offer any population number. I think by the way, you can say that Iran shouldn't have a nuclear bomb and think they have 50 million people rather than 92 million people. I don't think it's the real knockout punch that people thought it was. But the entire interview was actually quite good. I mean, they gave it as good to each other. It was very hostile in certain places. It was certainly very enlightening. And I encourage Tucker to do more of those in fewer people he agrees with, because I get kind of bored by the echo chamber stuff. And I think he's very, very good when he's debating people. So, but
it was very funny to listen to him be like, oh, really? That's your thing? And then Ted Cruz goes, a little less snark. And Tucker goes, I'm sorry. That's a bad habit. It's like kind of charming on both ends.
Yeah, I was like sitting across from somebody like fighting in a restaurant. I was like, oh, this is getting interesting now. Listen. But the thing about it, I think, is also this fracturing of the MAGA movement, is that if you look at Donald Trump's True Social feed in the past 24 hours, you would see somebody who these people, including Tucker, would probably call a neocon. I mean, he was posting.
Moynihan, did you see what just my producers just sent this to me, including Jeb Bush.
Yes.
Jeb Bush put out a tweet saying, President Trump's decision to neutralize Iran's regime's nuclear program is a watershed moment. It reasserts U.S. strength, restores deterrence, sends an unmistakable message to rogue regimes. The era of impunity is over. My full statement here. And then Trump retweeted it saying, "Thank you to Jeb Bush. Very much appreciated," which is like, what? Pigs, they're flying.
If some of you out there listening in Megyn Kelly land are getting your political education now and don't remember 2016, go watch those exchanges between Donald Trump and Jeb Bush, where he is absolutely hammering him, particularly on the Iraq War, and his brother. But this is the interesting thing about Trump. No one should be surprised by this. Who in Trump's cabinet, first time around, this time around, has not, including J.D. Vance, called him like Hitler? And he does not care. He's like, if you're on my side now, great. He does not. I mean, it's one of his great qualities is that he doesn't hold these endless grudges, which I think is pretty fascinating. But he also tweeted, this guy, this young American Jewish Instagram star, like a pro-Israel guy, like humiliating this woman in a keffiyeh at like a pro-Palestine protest. That's something that you would be like, I know, Megyn, you skeptically listen to and like the guys at the Commentary podcast. That's something that those guys would retweet. And I saw that on Trump's Truth Social today. There's a lot of stuff there that if you took that from all the people who've been trying to direct MAGA, like this, I think, and one final thing, not to go on too long, but there's two types of this. There's people who believe this is what MAGA is, and there are people who are trying to direct MAGA. I think that's that's what Tucker does. But there's a lot of people that say like, oh, he never, no foreign wars. That's not what he's interested in. It's like, I think that's a fundamental misunderstanding of Trump and how Trump views American power. He does not want to start new foreign wars. He does not want an Iraq situation. But that does not mean that he's going to, let's dismantle the B-2s. Let's put all this stuff away. We don't need it. We have no business anywhere in the world. That's not how he sees the world. In the first administration, they went after Syria. They 75 Tomahawk missiles into Syria. Yeah, it wasn't a huge war, but this was not some, peacenik. They killed Soleimani. And that was at the same time going to usher in the hell that all these people expected. I mean, Tucker said that this might, and again, we have to wait on this, that this will probably result in thousands of American deaths. So, I mean, I think Tucker is trying to directionally push MAGA somewhere, and I think he's had some success at that, but it kind of falling apart at the moment. And I think that there's other people who believe that MAGA has always been a kind of Lindbergh, Taft, old school Republican isolationist movement, which it isn't. It just simply isn't. The evidence doesn't show that.
I have to say, I know Tucker's against what's happening in the Middle East right now, and I understand it. He was right about Ukraine. Tucker was right about Ukraine. He took a lot of heat. That war has been lost for a long time. It's been stuck in this unsolvable intransigence, and it needs to be ended. Trump's not wrong. There's just so much death on both sides. We need to admit reality. I know you guys may feel differently, but I think Tucker was right about Ukraine and deserves. But I think he deserves a fair listen on his predictions, though. Again, don't make predictions about the Middle East because it's just folly for anybody. We are days away from what has been dubbed by some the Rio Reset, what some worry could be a threat to the U.S. dollar's global dominance in over 80 years. On July 6th, BRICS nations, that's Russia, China, India, and Iran, and some more, are expected to unveil their plans to circumvent the U.S. dollar, thus cratering, its value. Some report that they've already been laying the groundwork as their central banks have been methodically divesting from the U.S. dollar and U.S. bonds in favor of gold. How can you protect your IRA or 401k from the fallout from this landmark shift? One option is to diversify with gold from Birch Gold Group. Historically, gold has been a safe haven in times of high uncertainty, which is right now. Get a free info kit on tax-sheltered gold IRAs by texting the word MK letters to 989898. July 6th could mark a monumental shift happening among nations that control 1/3 of the world's GDP. Arm yourself with information to diversify your retirement savings. Text MK to 989898 and claim your free info kit from Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.